Okay, so we're diving into something today that I've seen popping up all over the place lately. You know these DIY off-grid generators?
Yeah, I've seen those
The
too.
ones that are like supposedly based on Tesla's work?
Yeah.
And they promise like crazy cheap electricity or even free electricity.
It's a little too good to be true, right?
Exactly, and that's why we're here today for a deep dive.
Oh,
Because you know, you guys, our listeners are smart. You want the details. You want to know what's really going on.
absolutely. We're not going to sugarcoat anything.
So we got our hands on some material about these Tesla generators from what's being described as like a short and controversial video.
Oh, boy. Controversial, huh? This should be
Yeah,
interesting.
we're going to break it all down for you. No hype, just the facts, and you can decide for yourself what you think.
Sounds good to me. Let's get into it.
All right, so first things first, this video claims that you can like slash your electric bill almost overnight.
Overnight, huh? That's a bold claim.
Right. They're even saying you could save like 80% or more on your power bill.
I mean, who wouldn't want that? But how exactly are they saying this is possible?
Well, that's where it gets even more intriguing. They claim you can build this off-grid generator yourself,
Hmm.
like DIY style.
DIY. So we're not talking about some fancy, expensive piece of equipment.
Nope. They're saying the parts cost anywhere from like 73 bucks to maybe 210 bucks.
Wow, that's way cheaper than I would have guessed. What about the build time?
Apparently, it only takes like 4 hours to put the whole thing together.
Seriously, 4 hours? I mean, I've spent longer assembling IKEA furniture.
Right. It's crazy, especially when you compare that to traditional solar panels or generators. Those can cost a fortune and take forever to install.
Yeah, no kidding. So we're talking about a potentially much cheaper and faster solution here. But is it really all it's cracked up to be?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We're going to dig into all of that. Look at the claims, the supposed science behind it, the whole 9 yards.
All right, I'm ready to get skeptical. Hit me with what this video is saying.
Okay, so they start off by talking about Tesla, like, you know, the guy Nikola Tesla.
Oh, yeah, the brilliant inventor.
Right. They paint him as this, like, almost mythical figure, this genius who was held back by, you know, powerful interests because he wanted to give the world free energy.
I've heard that story before. The idea that he had this technology that could change everything, but it got suppressed.
Exactly. And this video really leans into that narrative. They talk about how Tesla believed that electric power was, like, everywhere, present in unlimited quantities.
And that it could power the world without needing traditional fuels.
Right. But the story goes that like big financial players, specifically JP Morgan, found out about Tesla's plans for this cheap generator.
And they freaked out because they were making money off selling metered electricity.
Yep. So they supposedly withdrew their funding and like basically ruined Tesla financially. And his plans for this generator disappeared.
Classic tale of the little guy getting crushed by the big corporations. But is there any truth to it?
That's what we're trying to figure out. The video then jumps to this story about a renegade team of scientists.
Oh boy, renegade scientists. This is getting good.
Right. And these scientists supposedly got their hands on Tesla's original blueprints. And they've been like updating them with 21st century technology.
So they're saying that this lost technology has been rediscovered. And it's now possible to build.
That's the claim. And this is where it might really grab your attention. They say this rediscovered tech can power all sorts of stuff.
Like what? Give me some examples.
They say it can power small gadgets, major appliances, even off-grid cabins.
Interesting. So they're saying it's versatile, can be used in different situations.
Yeah. And they specifically compare it to solar panels. You know how solar panels can be expensive and only work when the sun's out.
Right, and you need batteries to store the energy for when it's dark.
This Tesla generator supposedly doesn't have those limitations. They say it's a high output generator that you can build yourself.
Okay, I'm starting to see why people are interested in this. It sounds like it could solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, they even throw in some testimonials, like stories of people who've supposedly built these things.
What kind of stories?
Like one guy in Texas said he built one for under 108 bucks. And then there's this person in Colorado who had no building experience whatsoever.
And they managed to build one of these generators.
Yep, with their grandkids no less.
Yeah.
And now they're supposedly getting free electricity 24/7.
Wow, okay, I have to admit, that's pretty impressive if it's true.
Yeah, but remember, these are just claims. We got to take them with a grain of salt.
Right, of course. We need to look at the actual science behind this thing.
Exactly. So let's get into that. Now, this is where things get a little, well, let's just say they use some interesting language.
Like what? What are they calling this thing?
They describe it as like A generator on steroids.
A generator on steroids. That's a new one. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's not exactly scientific terminology. They also suggest it taps into an energy source from another planet.
Hold on. An energy source from another planet? That sounds a bit far-fetched.
I know, right? And they say this alien energy can boost any small electrical input, like 5 times more instantly and permanently.
5 times more energy? Instantly and permanently. That's a huge claim.
They even compare it to the power of nuclear reactors in aircraft carriers.
Okay, now that's just a wild comparison. Nuclear reactors are incredibly complex and powerful. This DIY generator is supposedly built with parts from a hardware store.
Exactly. It doesn't really add up, does it? This whole alien energy thing and the nuclear reactor analogy, it's all very vague and lacks any real scientific basis.
Yeah, it sounds more like science fiction than actual science. But let's keep going. What else do they say about how this thing works?
So then they shift gears and start talking about how simple it is to build. They claim that a lot of the materials from Tesla's original patents are now super cheap and easy to find.
Like at your local hardware store.
Yep. They say the blueprints are so straightforward that even a kid could build a small generator during their lunch break.
So on one hand, they're saying it's this revolutionary technology powered by alien energy. And on the other hand, they're saying it's so simple that a child can build it.
Yeah, it's a weird mix of like mind-blowing claims and almost too good to be true simplicity.
It definitely raises some red flags, especially since they're not providing any detailed explanations of how this technology actually works.
Right. They focus a lot on the potential benefits, like how much money you'll save compared to solar panels.
And how it can supposedly withstand any weather conditions, and how it doesn't produce any emissions or noise.
Yeah, they're saying it's basically a superior alternative to every other type of energy generation out there.
But again, they don't really explain how it's able to do all of that. It's all just claims and promises.
Which brings us to their call to action. They're urging people to get the blueprints, like right now.
Why the urgency?
They're playing up this fear that the technology might get suppressed again. You know, like what they claim happened to Tesla.
Nah, so they're using that fear of missing out to get people to buy. Classic marketing tactic.
Exactly. They're saying this is your chance to break free from big energy and stop paying for electricity altogether.
And how much are they selling these blueprints for?
It's a digital product, and they're offering it for a relatively low price. They even have a money-back guarantee.
So they're trying to make it seem like a risk-free investment. But the question is it really an investment or just a scam?
That's what we want you guys to think about. We've laid out all the information, the claims, the supposed science, the marketing tactics.
Now it's up to you to decide what you believe.
Exactly. Do your own research. Look for independent verification. Don't just take their word for it.
And remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a good rule of thumb for pretty much everything in life.
Especially when it comes to these kinds of big promises about free energy.
All right, so to wrap things up, let's quickly recap what this video is claiming.
They're saying that you can build a Tesla-inspired off-grid generator yourself for super cheap, like between $73 and $210.
And that this generator can power your entire home, and you'll never have to pay for electricity again.
They're also claiming that it's better than solar panels and traditional generators in every way. More efficient, more reliable, and cheaper.
But they don't provide any real evidence to back up these claims. It's all just vague descriptions and anecdotal stories.
So it's important to be skeptical. Don't get caught up in the hype.
Exactly. Think critically about the information you're being presented with.
And if you're considering buying these blueprints, do your due diligence. Make sure you understand what you're getting into.
That's right. Because at the end of the day, it's your money and your time.
And we want you to make informed decisions.
All right, folks, that's our deep dive into these Tesla-inspired off-grid generators.
Hopefully you found it informative.
And if you're interested in learning more, the video we discussed does have a link to their official site.
Might not be up for long, they say.
So if you're really into this whole power independence thing, you might want to check it out.
Just remember everything we talked about today. Stay skeptical, stay curious, and as always, thanks for listening.
See you next time.